insight.
Intuition? Or
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, we're live on YouTube.
The other one was... I remember what it means.
Mm.
Don't remember the word.
Darn it.
It's okay.
I hate when that happens.
And Facebook.
It's tough. It's tough when that happens.
It's so tough. It'll come to me.
Words are hard, though.
They are hard. They are hard indeed.
Honor us by joining the live episode. That's what you put on there, Juan. Nice. I don't know if that would be actually honoring us.
Here's to good friends.
Cheers.
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 Can you send me an email? I thought I sent it to
It's sort of an oaky afterbirth.
What was that?
She did tell me to get a beer and some cheese fries over at Eskimo Joe's.
That's very nice, lovely. I only hope you feel this way when I'm done. Because I could destroy this night in 2 seconds.
Why is that funny?
Well, I think it's a bit funny to be trying to define nothing.
Smooth as a bourbon on a summer day. Strong as a peated scotch in the winter night. This is a fair warning. The Catholic Man Show is about to begin.
Slap some bacon on a biscuit and let's go. We're burning daylight.
Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. We're on the Lord's team, the winning side. So raise your glass. Raise it up. Adam Minahan here, sitting with David Niles. We're joined today by the exotic producer Juan Posada. He called himself, he was very exotic, is what he said off air. So I'm just regurgitating what I heard.
I'm browner than he is, though.
Right now, you caught a lot of sun.
Yeah.
We're also joined with James.
He's waving.
He's
everybody.
waving while watching us on Facebook.
He didn't look at us, but he did wave.
Typical. Dave, imagine being a guy who enters a giveaway that's giving over $500 worth of things, winning, and then not claiming the prize.
Didn't the same thing happen last year?
The same thing happened last year. Both years we've done this.
And like winning and not even checking your email.
So the winner of the Father's Day giveaway has not claimed his prize. If you're listening to this on podcast, that means that
it might be too late.
It's probably too late.
I think he has
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the last day.
Today's Wednesday. We're recording on Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday.
Oh, yeah, Friday. So he has 2 days.
Okay.
But typically you would imagine somebody responding to an email of them
says,
winning.
Hey, you won.
Yeah. Although that's a very fishy.
Although, yeah, it's like actually,
email.
I usually just delete those immediately.
But yeah, so we may be announcing a new winner very soon.
Okay.
We've had a very busy last 2 weeks. A lot of things going on. The Father's Day giveaway, being on EWTN, Life on the Rock. We launched Pat Flynn's course. Mm-hmm. That's received a lot of really good feedback.
Yeah. Just got another email this afternoon.
Yeah, Jeff Gallant. Mm-hmm. I always want to say Gallant. I'm sorry, Jeff. Jeff Gallant sent an email. He's really appreciative of it. So, I mean, we've just had a lot of things going on. We're about to give away the Summa to one of our patrons. And a hat to one of the $10 a month patrons. Go in if you can. Support us on patreon.com/thecatholicmanshow. We give away a lot of awesome gifts. I'm biased, but it's true. And we could really use some extra support. We're going to be trying to do these courses. We're going to try to release one a month. We've had such good feedback when we did Carlo Broussard, going through the 5 ways with St. Thomas Aquinas. We had a really great feedback with Pat Flynn. We did a whole 10-part series on the domestic church with our wives.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of audiobooks that we've had recorded of papal encyclicals and documents and things of that nature. But we're trying to do this once a month. And so in order to do that, we need your support. So Patreon.
I'm going to be doing the next class.
You are?
Yeah. On how to musk.
I'm not even going to ask. It's
going to be good. It's going to be good.
I actually am going to be doing a book club on Patreon. I know you don't know this because you don't check, but I'm having a book club on the book that I'm reading right now. We're going to just kind of walk through it, which is Thomistic Common Sense by Father Gary Lagrange.
Nice.
And once a month, St. Stephen puts together a once a month gathering, virtual gathering.
Every time I think, ooh, I'm gonna do that tonight, and then I can't. Something happens, and I just.
Oh, that's your fault.
Sometimes it is not my fault. Sometimes it is.
What are we drinking tonight?
Fault is not the right word, but anyway, tonight we're drinking Kleinelish. I think that's how you say it. Kleinelish 14. This is a Highland. It's a coastal Highland.
I would imagine a coastal Highland will have more salty peatiness, maybe.
Maybe. Let's get into it. I mean,
do you want me to pull up the notes? Oh, wait,
well,
no.
There's some notes here. In fact, it was really funny. It says the nose starts with light candle wax, some sugar, and faint floral fragrance. However, it doesn't say however, but this is where it really gets good. Adding a little water brings this into focus. The candle wax is now more richly scented, as if, when strolling near the beach, you have come across sun-dried flowers among the sand dunes.
Come on.
That is on the box.
Come on.
I love it. On the it says on the palate, on the spicy palate, there's a signature oily mustard cress crispness, which is underscored by some maritime saltiness in the satisfying drying finish. I want to know how, I guess sea saltiness, but maritime saltiness, that sounds a little redundant to me, but anyway, let's try it.
We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Cheers. Cheers to your month vacation.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Must be nice.
I'll tell you when I get there.
I get green apples.
Ooh.
On the nose, is what I get. I get a lot of green apples. I don't get near as much floral. I get a lot more fruity.
I don't really get a lot on the nose.
Green apples,
honestly,
orange peel.
Well, it's dried flowers.
Dried flowers.
Well, you have to add a little water to really bring it into focus, you know. But I like it. As my dad would say, "That be good."
That is very good. Yes.
That is good. I like it.
It has a little peatiness to it.
It was
as well.
$80.
Yeah. I think it's well worth it.
I do too.
I actually took
Do you think Highlands tend to be more expensive?
No. I have issues though with what you always say, if it's with the price of whiskeys. I've been thinking about this, and every time it's $50, not worth it. And you can't just compare just because one whiskey is more than Ardbeg, which you like.
I do like Ardbeg.
That you can't say it's not worth it because I'd rather just have Ardbeg. You can't say that because
fair enough.
That's just not. It's not a good depiction.
Fair enough.
Just had to get that off my chest.
How do you feel?
It wasn't as satisfying as because you didn't put up a fight. So
okay.
I thought you were going to come back at me.
Oh well, how about this? You're dumb.
Yeah.
You're not worth it.
That ruined it.
Is that better?
You ruined it. You ruined it. But
it's a fair argument. That's the thing about me is I know fair arguments when I hear them.
I do think $80 for this bottle is well worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very good. What do you think, Jim? Is it on the yummy scale? What do you?
Mid-yummy. I'm not sure if that means if it's just standard yummy, is mid-yummy less or more than, is it yummy plus, yummy minus? Right in the middle. It's yummy. Okay. To me, this is unlike any Highland that I can remember having. You know, it doesn't have the, I don't know, it's just not like the easy flavor. You know, this is kind of more like an Islay Scotch almost. It's just got like a lot of bam in your face flavor.
Yeah, I dig.
I love it.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to Father Kerry Kulich. So I went down to Dallas, Texas this week.
America.
This is in
America.
Yes. So Father Kerry Kulich brought like 10 to 12 guys all together to try to figure out what is happening with Catholic masculinity. He basically had like a think tank session. He realized he's in the college setting, you know, that's where he ministers, like that's where his parish is in Stillwater, which is at Oklahoma State. And he just realizes, he's looking around and he's seeing like, where are all the good Catholic men? Why are they not here? And so he just brought together a bunch of men to figure out, you know, what do we need to do? Like, what's the problem? What are the solutions? Let's eliminate some of the bad solutions or the bad ideas and all get together to execute the good ideas. And so I just thought it showed great leadership, I thought, of a priest to take the time to not only realize the problem, but to say, no, I need to get guys together. Let's try to figure this out, and like for a local setting. You know what I mean? Like with a bunch of local guys, we're all here together. Let's try to figure this out, and let's be very specific so we can execute this idea and come back, you know, here in a couple months, and let's get back together and reconvene and see what's working, what's not working. I just appreciate that in a priest who realizes where the problems lie in his parish.
So there's going to be a follow-up meeting?
Yes, in August. He said late July, early August, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So anyway, like I just appreciate being proactive, or at least you know, trying, like, caring and wanting to get, you know, like wanting to get advice from other people, wanting to get other people's thoughts, and like orchestrating it and trying to figure out, okay, let's do this all together. Really appreciate it. Really respect it. It was the first time that I had a chance to really hang out with Father Kerry for an extended amount of time. He's a great man. I dig.
Yeah.
I appreciate him. I'm grateful he's on the Lord's team.
Me too.
And especially that he's in the Diocese of Tulsa and Eastern Oklahoma.
We have a lot of awesome priests here.
We do. We're going to talk about priesthood today.
We are.
All right. We'll be right back.
This scotch, though.
I like it's very unique.
Yeah, especially for a Highland.
At the very front, it almost, like, you almost expect a sherry cask. Like, it almost is like,
this is going to be sherry.
And then, like, it just
finishes like
dissipates
pepper.
into like black pepper, peaty, smoky, oily.
Right. But, yeah.
It's got a long finish, too.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. Thoroughly enjoy it.
Me too. Coastal Highlands.
A fan.
Me too. Did you send me that email?
Yes.
Maybe my email's not working. Did you send it to my radio email, or what did you send it to?
David at stmichaelradio.com.
Thank you for doing that.
Phone number is 918-6.
I don't have it. Are you sure you sent it to me?
Yes.
The thing is, I put my own name on it. Like, I sent it to myself.
Go to your sent tray and pull it up.
Yes, I sent it to you. Here, just read it off of mine.
Okay.
Let's roll one.
Pull it from your sent tray.
Send it from a different device. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I am David Niles, here with Adam Minahan. As we told you already, we've got Juan Posada and Jim Spencer in the house. What?
Text.
We're drinking a little Kleinelish. which is delicious. I hope we're saying it right.
Probably
So
aren't.
it's so good. It's something that deserves to be said right. We can only do so much. So we're just gonna move on to the man gear. For those of you who are new to the show, we do three things on every episode, almost every episode. The first one we have already done. We open, review, and enjoy a manly beverage. The second one we're about to do, which is where we highlight a man gear of some kind. The third thing, which we will get to shortly, is we have a manly discussion on a manly topic. Today, our man gear is the tuxedo.
Is there a more manly topic than the priesthood?
No.
There's
Jesus.
The high priest.
Yeah. I mean, like, everything is like it's like secretly Jesus if it's not overtly Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Everything on this show anyway. What are you talking about today? Jesus secretly. People won't know it because he's in disguise. But the man gear today is the tuxedo.
Okay. You own a tuxedo.
I own a tuxedo.
You're like renters, stupid. Renters.
I remember those days. I do own a tuxedo. I bought the tuxedo that I was married in. It still fits me. Thank you very much. Still look awesome in it.
Thank you very much.
I do say so myself. And I do.
Jim is over there. He couldn't handle that.
I remember my first beer. So for me, this is what I did. If this situation applies to you, maybe you can do the same thing. Just think about it.
Joe Q, we're looking at you. Did I tell you?
No, I didn't know Joe's getting married.
Yeah, he got engaged. Joe Q.
What?
Yeah, he got engaged.
That's
so
awesome.
Pumped.
Congratulations, Joe.
Congratulations,
I'm sorry I didn't tell you, but it's even better that I told you now.
We
on
knew
this show.
you could do it. There were people who they had their doubts, and I said, "No, don't you doubt Joe.
No way.
You guys can just go.
You don't even know, Joe."
No. Anyway, when I was getting married, I rented my tuxedo from Men's Warehouse, like a lot of people. And if you had like so many paid tuxedo rentals, which that's why you should have a lot of groomsmen, because then you can benefit from it financially.
Because that's what it's about.
So they said you can either get one free tuxedo rental or half off anything in the store. And I did the math. It's like these tuxedos, they're less than $200. The rentals are, or I could buy this $800 or however much it was tuxedo for $400 and get $400 off. Like that's more money off. So that's what I did. So I have my tuxedo, and I didn't know how often I would wear it. I wear it a lot.
It was weird when you came over the other day wearing your tuxedo.
It was after 6.
Yeah. It's like, Dave, I just asked you to help me.
What are you, heathens?
Yeah, I just asked you to help me to move the sprinklers.
Right.
Showing up in a tuxedo.
Did you ever watch 30 Rock?
Yes.
What's the guy's name? The rich guy. I don't remember his name, but he always had a tuxedo on. And it's like, why are you wearing a tuxedo?
It's after 6.
It's after 6.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I be? So yeah, actually I wear my tuxedo all the time. No, not all the time. That's over exaggerating. I wear it a lot. I wear it a lot more than I thought. Whether it's to fundraising dinners or weddings, there's just more black tie affairs than you think. The kind of affair that you don't have to wear a tuxedo, but if you have one, totally cool.
Did you ever ruin a black tie affair?
Well, we can talk about that later.
Okay.
I showed up in boots. It was a whole thing. Yeah. That's one thing you're not allowed to do. You can do boots and suits. You cannot do
I almost
tuxedo.
Did that today.
You cannot do tuxedo and suits.
I almost went with the cowboy boots.
Why not? Why didn't you?
I had a meeting that I just...
A cowboy boot is...
I didn't have the... You know what? I didn't have the confidence, okay? You're like...
The cowboy boot is 100% acceptable. It's not like a weird thing to do.
I just didn't have the confidence.
See, that's why it's like you don't know that it's just regular. That's what you think, that it takes confidence.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's just regular.
Yeah.
This is Oklahoma. So
true.
There are some things about the tuxedo. Like, for instance, what makes something a tuxedo?
a jacket. There's a jacket
Right.
involved.
But like, how do you distinguish
pants.
between the tuxedo and the suit? Because you can have tuxedos and suits that have almost the exact same cut, right?
The lapels are typically different. Isn't it a top notch for tuxedo?
So there are some notch differences, but that's tip that are more standard in tuxedos than a suit. Like
the lapel,
but really the lapel is one of them, but it's satin. So the presence of satin is typically something that would make it a tuxedo. So you'll have satin on the lapels, on the buttons, the pockets trim, and then typically a stripe down the outside of the trouser. So that's how you can tell it's a tuxedo. There are a couple other things that you would do with a suit you wouldn't do with a tuxedo. One of them would be wearing a high stance vest. Okay, so
wait, you would do this with it?
You would not wear a high stance vest
with
a tuxedo, where you would, especially with like a tweed suit.
Is cummerbunds back in?
I don't think so, but it is definitely a traditional tuxedo apparel to wear the cummerbund. I don't even know what the purpose of the cummerbund is. Okay, but
just to keep your gut in.
Yeah, I guess it does do that. Can't even see. I think it's to hide your pistol. That's what I think.
Yeah, maybe so.
That's why James Bond
always had one.
But he didn't ever wear it. Actually, he never. I don't know about the old movies, but in James Bond movies that have come out in my lifetime, I do not recall him wearing a cummerbund. So there's some things you should not do with a tuxedo, and that you should not wear it before 6 o'clock. That is a rule. Or depending on where you live, if it's either you have to wait till 6 or sundown, whichever comes first. Now, there are some times like, all right, you're going to a wedding that's at 5, but then there's going to be the reception afterwards, which is, it's like it's okay in that situation.
You get a lot of miles out of a tuxedo in Alaska.
Yeah.
Sundown.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, for the next 23 hours, this baby is going to be on.
Right. And even if it's 6 o'clock, it's like, oh, the sun's not down, but you can still wear it.
Yeah.
So, yes, you shouldn't be worn during the day because it really is evening wear.
Okay.
It should be black. They come in different colors, but this is to be rejected. You should not.
You're taking a stance on this.
Do not be the idiot who buys a tuxedo in any other color than black.
Why?
It's just stupid. That's why.
Why? You have to have a good reason. If you're going to make this kind of stance, you better have a good reason.
Because the tuxedo is black tie. That's what it is.
Okay, so you have a black tie.
No, you don't have a black tie with like a tan.
What about white?
Okay, so that's white tie, or what they call a tropical black tie. So in
this is way too fancy for me. I don't
in
know what
like
you're talking
in
about.
the tropics or in hot climates, they don't want to wear black, and so there is this where they would wear a white jacket, and they call it tropical black tie.
Okay, I'm going to push back a little bit because the white tuxedo has significance in a marriage, a purity of the man with the purity of the woman.
So white tie is a whole other level of. White tie is even more formal than black tie.
What if you wear a white tuxedo with a black tie? Is that still considered a white tie?
I don't know that you would want to do. I don't think you should do that.
What if you do?
So, like, this is the thing about when you're getting into this level of elegance. It's not about what your style is. It's about honoring and conforming to traditions and customs. Okay, that's why I'm saying, do not buy a tan tuxedo. It's stupid. The purpose of wearing a tuxedo is because there's tradition behind this type of clothing. You wear a tuxedo to something that you're hoping to like show the dignity of the thing you're doing, whether it's to honor like a fundraising dinner or a person or just the fact that someone's throwing a fancy party even. Like, okay, yeah, this is not a regular party, just to honor the guests who are at the party, right? And so it's not about your style. It's about dignifying the event. That's why you wear it.
I can get behind that. I was talking to Derek Lissy recently. He works with me at the Chancery. He's the stewardship and development coordinator. And he was saying he always wears tie and suit. He always wears a suit to work.
Right.
And he was saying, like, listen, I don't do it just for me or just because I have other people that I have to meet with. I do it for my coworkers.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's about honoring everybody.
I'm upholding this dignity of like our work, of like you're working with me, and this is like I'm taking time and effort to uphold what we're doing here.
Like there's some guys in my office who, when they don't have a client meeting that day, they'll wear a golf shirt. I don't do that because I don't have a meeting today, maybe you do, and like you're gonna have clients in the office. So, like, I want to make sure that I'm not looking like a slob in front of, like, is that what you want? Like, oh, you bring your clients in, and then the guy next door is, in the office next is in a T-shirt.
Right. What if it's a tuxedo T-shirt?
And like, there's maybe some room there. Well, is it after 6? Is it an evening meeting? The last thing about the tuxedo, you have to wear black patent leather shoes with a shiny shoes. These days, patent leather is kind of out in the business world, but it will not go out for the tuxedo.
Okay.
There you go.
We're going to talk about priests and honoring them, and I have some like controversial things maybe.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
I was originally going to do the Roman collar as the man gear, and it was too complicated. The history behind it is a little bit weird. Also, it's Protestant. The history behind the Roman collar comes from British Protestants. They're the ones who started it. British Protestant clergy. What we consider today the Roman collar.
Where's Deacon Harrison Garlick?
Yeah.
He would know the answer to this.
According to all of the...
What did they wear before that?
Nothing. There was like...
Yes, they did.
No. Up until like the 16th century, there was no official priest vesture. Like, go look at pictures of the saints who are priests. Unless they're a monk, they're not in a clerical outfit. It blew my mind. I thought it would be like at least from 1,000, like the year 1000 or so. So like John Vianney, he's like kind of later. He has or like, do you remember St. John Baptist de La Salle?
Yeah.
He had like it was like a bib on one side.
That's a Lasallian.
It's not Lasallian. That was like common garb at the time. That was like sort of like a gentleman's tie. So, I mean, it's like not a tie, but that's what they wore instead of ties back then. It was like regular people would have also worn those things, whatever that thing is called.
I don't know if I can get down with this.
Sounds like a cool episode for one day.
Yeah, it would be, but I didn't do it because it's like, okay, there's way too much here. Yeah, like this is deep.
Okay, let's keep rolling, Juan. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
And hey, do we have any questions?
Not yet.
Okay. Mike is listening from Chicago. What's up, Mike?
What's up, Mike?
He probably isn't listening anymore, but
well, he missed
17 minutes ago he was.
He missed it big time.
What?
It's only us listening now.
Yeah. So lonely. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. We're going to talk about the priesthood, honoring priests. When Dave first brought up this topic, I got to be honest with you, dude, I was like, no, I don't want to do this. But it wasn't because I just didn't realize the angle you were going to take. Because all you said was, we're going to talk about the priesthood.
Right.
And I was like, no, if we're going to talk about the priesthood, we need to bring a priest in. It's not like, want to talk about the priesthood without the priest or somebody like that. And then
plus, we already know about the priesthood,
right? But then I liked the angle that you were taking with it, like honoring
how to honor a priest.
And then if we don't get to it by the end, I'm gonna give a sneak peek on like things I think priests shouldn't do, which is going to be controversial. And then what laity shouldn't do, and then what priests should do, and what laity should do.
I like it. Bring back a little things. I think we could use a little clericalism, honestly.
Let's bring it back.
You know, like, I don't know what it's like in other countries. There is zero clericalism here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, honestly, I think we have the laity here in our particular diocese has struck a healthy balance, you know, in the laity to cleric relationship. Because a lot of what we're going to say would applies. It's not just priests; it's deacons. You know, it's a cleric.
Sure.
By degrees, of course. You know, you don't treat a deacon like a priest. You don't treat a priest like a bishop. And even though cardinals are typically bishops, still, if you're a cardinal, there's some extra dignity that I think is merited with that station. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, not because of an extra ordination. There's cardinals not ordained any extra, but
sure.
Still, it's all about the honor and dignity that goes along with
it,
the vocation.
Okay, so where do you want to start?
Okay, so I want to start with just some things that I think have kind of fallen out of practice among the laity, and I think that, you know, the things that they were, some of these things, they were done in order to honor the priest and the priesthood, just as a way of showing the importance that the priesthood plays in the life of the laity.
Okay.
Like, I mean, just picture your life without any priests.
It'd be terrible. It'd be hell.
It would be the worst.
It'd be hell.
Right. I mean,
because there would be no sacraments.
There'd be no sacraments. There'd be no Eucharist. There'd be no confession. We'd still have baptisms, but it would. Well, it's like, what would you do without a priest?
It'd be terrible.
And we just kind of take it for granted that, we have priests and that we'll just keep having priests. We met Leek Briscoe. I don't actually know how to say his last name. One of our followers. He came with patrons. Yeah, he's one of our patrons. Thank you. He was here with his wife and brother-in-law. He came through town, and so we went and grabbed a drink together. His brother-in-law is a priest in
Italy.
No. It's by Albania. Anyway, I'll think of it in a second. He said there's only 12 priests in the whole country. There's like a little over 1 million people there in the country. It's a small Montenegro. I mean, it's just, can you?
Boy, I was way off. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Can you imagine that? 12, and 2 of them are retired, and then 1 is a bishop. And I guess, like, when there's really 10 of you to cover 1 million people, even though you're the bishop, I would imagine you still have a parish. I mean, I don't know, but that's what I'm guessing. So anyway, there are like some basic things that I think we can do that really honor the priest when he's being a priest. One of the things we've talked about before is that when you receive a blessing from a priest, you should kneel. If you're physically able to kneel, that is something you should do, even if nobody else is kneeling. That's okay. The thing is, other people don't know to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a Catholic home. I went to Catholic schools. No one ever taught me that, hey, when you get a blessing, you should kneel.
Right.
It's not until I started had some contact with the traditional community, the traditional Latin Mass community, that they started doing it, and I looked into it. And it's like, yeah, this is something that you should do because it honors the priest when he's blessing you. It's, it just is a way of dignifying him. And I say this, one of the things that when Pamela and I first started dating, and when we got married, she would do little things that that would really build me up as her husband. Little things like this. When we would kneel, she would wait for me to kneel first. She would, if I was standing, she was standing. So she would defer to me like, oh, if you stand, I will stand. When you kneel, I will kneel. And I just felt very honored, as her husband. And like now as we were getting married, that she would, I don't know, like it really did mean a lot to me that she was willing to make that little sign of deference. It's not a big deal. Like that's something very small, but it really did build me up as her husband. And so kneeling when a priest is blessing you, I think it kind of is along those same lines, that you're recognizing his authority, and that's really kind of why we honor priests, because they have this wonderful authority. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool whenever Leek and his brother were here. We were at a brewery and they were having to leave, and so it was like Juan's family, your family, my family.
Look, we made up like half of the brewery.
Right, yeah, we were all there.
Because there was a lot of us.
And we had all of our kids. Yeah,
right.
And so we were like, hey, you guys are leaving. Well,
shout out to the Nook Brewery in Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
They have the kids' Nook. They have a play area for kids. Right. It's
awesome.
Wonderful.
Great idea. And so we're like, hey, why don't you give us a blessing? And he goes, okay. Well, and remember, the culture there where he's from isn't very Catholic. Mm-hmm. It's not very Catholic. And so he goes, yeah, I'll give you guys a blessing. And then Santi, I'll give Santi a shout out here. Juan's son instantly knelt down. Mm-hmm. He heard blessing, boom, knelt down. We all knelt down in the brewery.
We were quite the spectacle.
Yeah, and I remember
awesome.
thinking, I actually tweeted this. I actually said, like, this is way more awkward for you guys than it is for us. This is kind of normal for us. So I know you guys are sitting there looking at us, wondering, like, what the heck's going on. This is way more awkward for you than it is for us.
I have to imagine, though, that the people watching thought, it was like, what was that? Like,
what just happened?
Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
They all knelt down, and then there's like that one dude. He might be a priest. He was like waving he was like some Jedi.
Yeah, waving his arms, making a sign of the cross.
He did like a
cross,
like a plus sign.
Yeah.
I think he blessed them.
Yeah.
I bless you. May your lives be plus.
I hope in like 10 years Santi listens to this and is like, pumped he gets a shout out.
Awesome.
I agree. But I do agree. I think that is something that's important to do whenever like.
Another one is something you just did. I'll let you tell the story about kissing the hands of a priest.
Okay, yeah. So Father Josh Vitruba is one of the two newly ordained priests here in the Diocese of Tulsa in eastern Oklahoma. Next year, we possibly have 3, and God willing, the following year we could have 5.
So our parish, St. Benedict's,
we're like
a good, fairly big parish. We're not huge. Like what, 1,200 families or something?
1,600, I think.
I don't know if we still are, but anyway,
not,
it's like a regular big parish. We've had priests from our parish. Is this 6 years in a row? Or is this 6 out of 7 years?
I'm not positive.
I think, I'm not positive either. It's either that we've had 6 priests ordained from our parish in the last 6 years, one every year for like the last 6 years in a row. Or I think that's what it is. I think we've had 6 in a row. It's incredible. Like,
you know why?
Because
awesome. we have adoration. Adoration plays a huge part in this.
It definitely does.
This sidetrack. So yes,
You're right.
I asked for a blessing from our newly ordained priest, which is a custom that you always ask for a blessing. In fact,
within the first year.
Yeah. In fact, the bishop, one of the first things that happens after in an ordination mass, one of the first things that happens right after being ordained, the bishop asks for a blessing, right? And so there's special graces that are given to a newly ordained priest.
I think there's an indulgence.
Yes. And after he blesses you, the custom is to kiss the inside of his hands. The palms of his hands. And the reason why is because in the ordination, the holy oils are anointing the inside of his hands, because these
hands are consecrated now.
These hands are now turning bread and wine into the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Christ, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And so if those hands have the power to do this, ordained by God,
right?
They should be held to a very high honor. My hands can't do that, right? And so just the miracle of transubstantiation through the hands of these priests, of course, like if
And-
you
and
actually
also-
if you actually think about it, hold on,
Yeah, go ahead.
if you actually think about what actually happens at the holy sacrifice of the Mass, when the Eucharist becomes the body, blood, soul, and the divinity of Christ, and the hands that are holding it up is holding up Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there were people in Jesus' day that were just trying to touch his tassel,
Right.
you know, for a miracle.
Yeah, that was their gospel this last week.
Right. And so, but here it is, a priest who is holding up Christ with his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not reverence those hands?
Right. They're big. They're very special hands.
Right.
And in fact, you know, the priest who stands as an alter Christus, another Christ, you know, it's like in some way, in a mysterious way, now his hands have been configured to the hands that bore the nails.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so there's a reason why we honor the hands of a priest. This is an old tradition that's fallen out of practice. It's a little bit weird to kiss another man's hands. You know, like that's not something that we do.
At least in America.
In America, I don't know that many people do that around the world. Maybe some people do, but it really is when you understand why it's done, and you do it reverently. It's just really beautiful. So we'll be right back. We'll talk more about this.
I think I'm going to revisit this.
Are you going to revisit? You're like old friends now.
All right, let's keep rolling one.
We do have a question, though.
Oh, okay.
Hit us up.
Never mind.
It's a sidetrack question.
It's a side. Juan being the filter of when. Let me tell you something. If Juan is the filter of the show, we're in trouble.
Yeah. But to answer your question, Noah, no, I have not been watching it. It's on my to-do list.
He asked if we have watched The Chosen.
I haven't watched it, but everyone talks about it. Everyone says how great it is.
I watched the first one.
We're getting 2 thumbs up. So I hear the first episode is the weird episode. You have to push through the first episode.
Okay, that's good to know because I watched the first one and I was like, you know what? I'm out.
I've heard that from a lot of people. It's like, all right, the first episode is a little weird. You have to watch. Just push through that one.
Okay,
and then it's.
I
great
can respect
from there.
that because I've had other shows, a series where it's
where
like
you think like they say you got to give a show 3 episodes.
Or a podcast, 3 episodes.
Oh, yeah, or a podcast.
In our case.
Maybe 30.
Give us 30 episodes.
Yeah. Maybe 100.
I'm just saying, give us a fair shake, 30 episodes. If you still think we're idiots, then you're dumb.
Do you remember they know what I said in the Catholic thing you should know?
Yes.
What? Oh yeah.
We sent him a bottle of Lafroy.
This is a throwback.
This is a long time ago.
This was one of the first things we did, like to reach out to another podcast.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Juan, you weren't even the producer. Like we weren't doing video. The studio did not look like this at all. We were recording on just a little table.
Yeah, like at this desk.
Yeah, and we were like, we should send the Catholic Stuff You Should Know guys some Lafroy. They like Lafroy. We like Lafroy. Let's do it. And Juan was like, guys, don't worry about this.
I'll do it. I'll send it.
I'll take care of it.
I'll send him a letter.
And we were like, sweet, because at that time, I was shipping all the stuff, all the Glencairn glasses. You weren't doing anything as per usual.
I told you. It's like when you wanted to start shipping stuff, I was like, that's a bad idea. You're going to hate that.
And I did.
I'm not doing it.
Turns out I did hate it.
Now we make Jim do it.
Now Jim does it.
Jim.
Thank you, Jim. We love you, Jim.
Jim, you should drive a Jeep. I don't know why I think that.
He drives a Prius, which is hilarious.
So funny. It's not because there's anything wrong with a Prius, except that it's so tiny and that, like, you
Jim's
are
our bodyguard.
so big.
There's a reason why he's our bodyguard.
Are you 6'6", Jim?
6'3".
You're only 6'3".
you're
No, you're
not.
every bit of 6'10".
My dad's 6'4". You're just as tall as he is.
Jim, you're being humble over here.
You've listened to enough shows not to be humble.
Come on.
If anything, we promote pride in this show.
Jim's like 7. He's like 7'2". Okay, and he drives a Prius. It's hilarious.
It is hilarious. Okay, let's keep rolling.
But you didn't tell the story about the Catholic stuff you should know. You didn't.
Oh, sorry.
Say what happened.
Sorry, I got sidetracked. So Juan sends a bottle of Lafroig to the Catholic stuff you should know guys with a note.
Because their abbreviations are CSYK. Catholic stuff you CSYSK.
Right.
Catholic stuff you should know.
No.
Except his abbreviations were CSYSN.
Well, he said
Catholic stuff you should
No. And they said on their episode.
They were laughing.
They were laughing because they're like, these guys from the Catholic Man Show sent us a bottle of Lafroig, which we appreciate. But they said Catholic stuff you should know.
And luckily it was signed Juan Posada. It wasn't signed.
Was it? Was it signed Juan Posada?
Yeah.
I thought you just signed it the Catholic Man Show.
No, because I think they said I don't know. I thought you signed your name, but
anyway, it was hilarious because
very funny.
It was a great first impression.
And the reason why I said it is because I said, if you're gonna listen to us, don't listen to the first one. Start
later on.
Skip like the first 10.
That's what happens when you have your ESL friend send notes for you.
Or your what?
ESL, English as a Second Language.
Oh, I did not know.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Your wife used to be an ESL teacher. You remember that? The woman that you married and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is while you were married to her. It's okay. Good timing. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles, here with Adam Minahan. We're talking about honoring priests. We've covered 2 things in the last segment, but man, did we cover them. We covered them so good.
Terribly.
So what are I want to hear some of the things that you said we wanted to get to. I want to make sure to get to them because.
Okay, but before we do, here's something else that I want to bring up.
Okay.
In the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass, one thing that I learned also from going to a traditional Latin Mass at an FSSP parish was when the priest is processing in, to look at the move your body towards them and bow your head.
Just give a slight bow.
A slight bow towards him as he moves down the aisle. Now I do this at St. Benedict.
I do too.
And I'm the only.
Jim's thumbs upping. I think he might do it.
You do it as well, Jim? So there's 3 people out of 1,800 families, 1,600 families that do this, and I know
at least, maybe more.
But all it is it's acknowledging that, listen, I understand that you're about to consecrate the Eucharist up here, and so I'm grateful for you.
Right, and it's not about honoring the man. None of this is
it's
about I want to honor our pastor, Father Brian Brooks. It's not about honoring the man, Brian Brooks. It's about honoring the priest, Father Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's about honoring his priesthood. It's about honoring his vocation. When I make my children say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, to myself and Lady Pamela, it's not about I'm so important.
Right.
It's about I'm your father, and you need to be respectful to me as your father.
Yes.
Not because I'm great. I could be a louse of a father. All the same, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are as a father. A child should still respect their father.
Absolutely.
So that's what it's about.
Also, just to let you know, this is something that I learned a while back ago, and it was embarrassing to learn. It's one of those things that I wish somebody would have told me this.
Hey, somebody could have filled me in.
When you're addressing a priest, maybe even a priest you don't know, maybe it's not your parish priest, you always address them Father, last name. Not their first name. Of course, priests will sometimes go by their first name,
and some prefer to go that way. And if they tell you that, that's okay.
That's okay. But the respect, the polite thing to do, the thing, the courteous thing to do is always assume father, last name.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't know their name and you don't want to just say father, you can say Reverend Father.
Yes, that's another way to do it. Yeah.
Which is actually their correct title. Like when you address if you mail a letter to a priest, they're actually Reverend Father so-and-so.
And then they become very reverend when they're like a vicar general.
Well, I think there are 5 very reverends within a diocese.
Yeah.
I don't know what they all are, but yeah, the vicar general is one.
Mm-hmm.
The vicar for priests is another.
Yeah.
Obviously, the bishop is. No. He's
reverend.
Most reverend. That's right.
Most reverend.
Yes. There's
the cathedral.
Yes. Yeah. The rector. The rector.
The rector
exactly.
at the cathedral.
Well done, Juan. So, they are very reverend.
Yes.
Because of their office.
Okay. So you want me to get in?
I think that's what everybody's waiting around to hear.
Okay. Well, I can do this.
I was going to talk about the bowing. I'm glad, but I forgot.
But okay. So here's a couple things that I actually pulled this from another shout out to Father Kerry and our good friend Father Brian O'Brien. They have a podcast called Pastors of Pain, and a while back ago they did 2 different episodes. You can go look them up. They did a things that drive priests crazy about their parishioners, and things that drive parishioners crazy about the priests. It's not named that, but that's the essence of the show. And so they brought up a couple of different things, which is all good. Like, listen, people get way too offended way too easily.
Totally.
So I wanted to...
I just lose it when people get offended.
Yeah. I want to bring up a couple things because I know we have priests that listen to the show as well. I've been working for the church now for a few months, so I have a little bit more information as far as like working kind of inside baseball, understanding like what all the priests do and see them on a day-to-day basis more. So things to not do as a priest. I'm pulling this from Pastors of Pain, and then also just kind of my experience. As a priest, it drives us crazy as laity when you do not respond. Now, I get it. The emails slip through the cracks, phone calls slip through the cracks, text messages slip through the cracks. But as a general rule, if I'm taking the time to reach out to you, to ask you a question or ask for your advice, guidance, whatever, and there's no response, it just doesn't look good. Like, and that goes with Business 101, right? I remember as like in business class in college, they talked about the importance of responding, and in a timely manner. I'm not looking for you to respond in an hour, but in a 24 to 48 hour, you should have enough time.
I think a week. If you like,
depending on what it is. Sure, but like just as a rule of thumb, because what ends up happening, and I know that you get, as priests, you probably get some crazy emails from people that are ridiculous.
I can just not even imagine the emails as
a
priest.
But for the normal person, normal situation, you receive something, you don't respond. What you're conveying is like, I'm too busy to respond to this. I don't care. And I think that's just a poor. I think that's a poor way. Respond. Like there are times where I have tried to reach out to priests and I have emailed them, I have texted them, I have called them, I've left voicemails, and I've gotten it's radio silence. And it's like, if you don't want to talk to me,
that has happened to me as well. And I would have been just fine if they would have just said no.
Or they just said like, hey, I can't talk to you right now.
Or, I was like asking if they would be willing to do something. Like, they could have just said no. That wouldn't have. Right. I would totally understand.
It's just poor. It's just poor courtesy. It just is poor form.
Yeah.
Another one is on confessions. Have enough time for confessions. Don't make it just 15 minutes before Mass. I know there's a lot of priests that have multiple parishes, rural parishes. They have to drive, things like that. But whenever you have confession, be on time.
Yeah. And if you are having confession times like, before Mass, and consistently there are people still in line
before Mass,
then that's a sign that your faithful would like more confession time, And if that works for them, like, okay, well then get there sooner.
Right.
Right.
And just be on time, because there's a lot of people who want to be behind the screen or whatever else, and they're in line, and all of a sudden, like, the priest is walking in because they're 20 minutes late, and they see everybody walk, in the line. And
sometimes, though, it's like, also, the laity, they need to learn to go to confession faster. That's like...
Well, okay, so that's...
Some people, it's like, look, old lady, I see you here all the time.
Right.
It's not like it's been 20 years since your last confession. Like,
right.
30 minutes, come on, get it together. Write it down or something and hand it to him.
Right. So I want to get to the laity.
Did you get all the ones for the priest that you
well,
have written down?
Not yet, but I want to get to
back.
I'm going to come back.
Okay,
I'm going to revisit.
I see what you're doing.
So for the laity, things that the laity do that kind of drive priests crazy, and this is one that I've been guilty of. Father Brian O'Brien opened my eyes. I realized this. It's like, okay, this is something I need to get, make sure I pay attention to. After Mass, the priest has 15 to 20 minutes after Mass to be able to reach out to the people who are going out of the sanctuary, right? If you're a guy who has access to the priest, you're a friend of theirs, or you have their email, you have their phone number, whatever, you can reach out to him anytime. That is not the time to talk to him. The priest is focused at that point in talking to the people who aren't there very often, maybe are new faces, maybe are like, oh, I haven't had a chance to talk to this person in 6 months, and we're going to be doing a baptism soon. I need to make sure to reach out to him.
Or they sent him an email and he just realized he hasn't responded.
Yes,
so
it's like,
wait, I got your email.
But that's something that I've been very guilty of, because I like to talk to priests. I have a lot of priest friends. It's like, oh, this is a good time to have a good conversation. That is not the time to do it. Mm-hmm. Priests are trying to reach the flock that they don't have a chance to talk to very often.
Sure.
Leave them alone. Another one is listen, if you're going to complain to a priest, like, don't complain unnecessarily. Before you complain, before you have issues with what you bring up, make sure, one, it's within church teaching. It's not just your strong opinion, political opinion, whatever else. Your priest gets hammered all the time with issues, complaints. Make it worthwhile.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta save your chips. If you're gonna complain, it's like, is this really what you want? Is this the hill you want to die on? Because like, if you complain all the time, it's gonna start to be water under the bridge.
Yeah, and it waters it down.
Right.
And you're crying wolf too many times.
Right.
So to leave maybe on a more positive note, some of the things that I really appreciate when priests do things for me is when they call me, text me, email me, and let me know they're praying for me. Oh, yeah. We have a priest that reaches out to us every week, asking us, what are our prayer requests, how they can pray for us. Listen, I know priests pray for their parishioners all the time. Reach out to them and just let them know.
Let them know, yeah.
Hey, I know that you're having a tough week, or maybe I haven't seen you in a while. I'm praying for you.
Yeah.
That goes a long way. It goes a very long way.
Right.
It's just reassuring.
It's a grace-filled moment.
It is a grace-filled moment. And it's very easy, right? You've already done all the hard work. You've prayed.
Right.
You're praying for them. Let them know, and it will it'll steal them in Christ.
Right.
So if you're listening on the radio, hang on there with the podcast, because I'm going to go over a couple more.
We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
And cheers to Jesus. Okay, I'm going to just keep rolling if that's all right. One of the things that I want, is that okay with you? You reached for your microphone, so I wanted to make sure. Okay. Another thing that I want to just encourage priests to do is
you like it when they do it,
and I like when they do it, is increase their prayer life. Working for the church, you realize that even more so than when I didn't work for the church, the amount of attacks that happen, the spiritual warfare that happens with priests. Mm-hmm. Priests are human. They have the same temptations as you and I do. They are in the position of fighting live virtuously. They're constantly trying to bring in God's grace to crush vice and to live a virtuous life. There are times when priests feel like that they may be in the seasons of life, whether you're married or you're living a vocation, there are times that ebb and flow of, maybe I'm not living the vocation God's calling me to, right? Maybe the honeymoon phase is worn off. Maybe you're entertaining the idea of like, maybe I should have been a priest, or as a married person, maybe God was actually calling me to be a priest.
Mm-hmm.
And that
maybe I have too many kids.
And I think that that is I think that is a natural question that happens at times, depending on your life, depending on like how your life is going and how old you are.
Sure.
But those moments get squashed very quickly when you have a deep, intimate relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
Because you realize very quickly, no, God has called me to this. I'm living out my vocation. I'm doing what he wills. And questioning what he wills is not of God.
Well, also, a contemplative prayer life is really the only way to keep your appetites in check.
Mm-hmm.
When your appetites start to get out of check, that's when you start having, you start indulging, eating too much,
not exercising,
over leisuring, and in ways that are just not
healthy,
ordered. It's not that they're unhealthy, but they're not ordered. How much time do you spend on YouTube today? You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And then you kind of slip into some of these bad habits because you're not taking that self-reflection in contemplative prayer and really like opening yourself up, letting the Lord reveal stuff to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. That advice goes for everybody, priests and lay.
Sure.
I mean, so.
A thing that I want to advise the laity is to invite priests over for functions.
Yes.
Big events that are in your life, birthdays, parties, things that are just happening within your family. Invite them over. Now, obviously, priests, you got to remember, there are a lot of priests out there, like I said earlier on the podcast, that are juggling 3 parishes, have to drive an hour and a half to get to each place, things of that nature. So they may not be able to come. But it is important there's something that has happened that used to be a normal thing. I can remember as a kid growing up, it was a normal thing for my grandparents to invite their parish priest over for dinner while we were all together. That was just that was almost a given. It's like, did you invite aunt and uncle? Did you invite the priest? It was just that was a given thing. Whatever has happened over the last 40, 50 years, the idea of not inviting your priest over and to be a part of your family life, to be a part of the big monumental stages within your kids' life, it's important to have your kids see their spiritual father at events.
Well,
and so
part of the problem is that now we move priests every 7 years. Well, that historically that was not the case. That priest would be at a parish for until he retired, and so it makes a difference when this priest. The thing is, after 7 years, that's about how long it takes to like actually become part of someone's life. Where you say, "Oh, I've been here. I remember when you were baptized." Now here I'm giving you first communion. You've actually put in the groundwork now to where, as soon as you get there, they move them. Now, I understand. I'm not trying to get into that debate because I understand there's pros and cons to, both these things. But that is a challenge, where before your parish priest, it's like, yeah, he's been the priest here for the last 25 years. He can't help but be a part of the family. Mm-hmm. He really is. Mm-hmm. And so I agree. We should be inviting them over. I mean, whether they're a new priest, old priest, doesn't matter. And you don't necessarily have to invite your parish priest. I mean, if there's a priest in the diocese that you have a relationship with,
sure,
invite him. Also invite your parish. I mean, like, or don't invite your pastor. I mean, that you don't have to invite your pastor, but having a priest in the home, you know, for your kids to grow up seeing, oh yeah, there's always a priest at my birthday party.
Right. To just be comfortable around,
it's
priests
good,
outside
it's good
of
for your
the
kids,
sanctuary,
and it's good for the priests.
Right.
You know, so like invest in someone.
Yeah, and, you know, I would assume, I don't know this for sure. I could be wrong. Totally okay with this being wrong on this point, but I would imagine back in the day as a Catholic, when there was true Catholic culture that was thriving, when a Catholic kid had a birthday coming up and there was a birthday party like that needed to be had around the Catholic community, they would do it at the parish.
Maybe.
Because it was the place, it was the point, it was the point of contact or the point of reference for everybody. Mm-hmm. It was like the place to go. Like, well, we wouldn't go to a bounce house. We would go to the Catholic Church.
Right. Certainly that was the case, you know, especially like New York, Chicago, where it was very cultural. You know, this is where the Italian Catholics are. This is where the German, you know, so first, the parish was very neighborhood. This is the neighborhood, very local, you know, like it's going to cover a few streets because that's how many Catholics are here. Mm-hmm. And there's 7 priests, you know, and people are packed in to Chicago and they have 200 family members. So yeah, where else are you going to where else can you have a birthday party?
But it would
other
be cool.
than the parish hall.
It would be cool.
It was good. The whole thing was good.
It would be cool for that to be something that is brought back. You know, like because these events, you know, the baptism is a public event, right? You are in the baptism. You are saying, listen, all of you need to be praying for this newly baptized person. It is a communal event. Uh-huh. It is, and all of your big events it would be cool if we all focused it back on the Catholic community. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the other one that I had on here, and this one, you kind of ruined it because you said that.
Oh, it goes for both.
It goes for both, but to increase your prayer life as the laity, you need to be praying for your priests. You need to be praying for your bishops. One thing that I love about a habit that you guys do that we have picked up on is at the end of grace, you know, bless the Lord, and these I guess we're about to see Christ our Lord. Amen. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Bless the cook and bless the bishop. Mm-hmm. Every time you're praying before meals, you're asking God to bless the bishop.
Bless the bishop, right?
Which is a great it's
one of those prayer hacks.
It's a prayer hack, and I can remember when some of the scandals came out in the church, and I was talking to my grandmother, who is the most holy person that I know. I was asking her, like, what are your thoughts here? You know, it's kind of like, man, this is heavy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And her first reaction was, this is a sign that the lady's not praying for the priests.
Very true.
And I remember thinking, like, wow, there's so many emotions going on here, right? You know, of being upset with the priest, being upset with the people who are covering it up, being upset with how all of this is handled, and all the people who are doing the wrong to be pointing the fingers. And the first thing you do is have a recognition of, we're not praying for priests enough. Mm-hmm. One, I think that speaks to her holiness.
Sure.
But I think there's a reality there that we're not praying for our priests and our bishop enough. You think as a Catholic dad who you're trying to live your faith, you're trying to pass on the faith to your kids, you're trying to be a good husband, with all the attacks that are happening on you on a day-to-day basis, that the devil is always attacking you, you know, with whatever it is, anger, lust, you name whatever it is, you name it. You think you're being attacked? How much more is the devil focusing on the priests and the bishops?
Yeah.
Because he ruins one priest, that ruins thousands of plus souls. Mm-hmm. He ruins one father that could ruin just a family.
Yeah, what if he gets a bishop? You know
right,
I mean?
What if he gets a bit? I mean, so spiritual warfare is very real, and I think that we've become lax as a laity of taking the responsibility of praying for our priests, and I think that goes for the fourth commandment of honoring your father and mother is paying the respect that is due to this office, which means that you should be praying for that for those people, meaning praying for your priest,
right.
praying for your bishop.
Yeah, you should pray for specifically your pastor every day. There's a hierarchy of it's like I don't know what the word is to describe this, but when a father prays for his wife or for his children, that is a prayer that the Lord will always hear, because it's his duty. It's the father's duty to pray for these people, right? And so when you do the thing that God is commanding you to do, he's given you these children, you need to pray for them. That is a very efficacious prayer, okay? Mm-hmm. The same is true, kind of like the children praying for your father. It's like, yeah, you can pray for anybody, but when you pray for your father, that also, because it's like, you need your father to be strong because you're their child, right? That's also, there's just like, it's in that line of authority. Mm-hmm. It's like that direct path of authority, okay? So it's just a more efficacious prayer. Your prayers are more powerful for people in this, like, that you have direct connections to of authority in that mm-hmm. way. So the same is true for your pastor. So you can pray for your own pastor more powerfully. It's just those are just stronger prayers than when you just pray for like a priest across the world you don't know of. You should pray for. So every day on my rosary, I pray for all priests, especially of our diocese, and then I name some that are more specific. That's something that everyone should be doing every day.
Yeah. Those are the ones that I had. Hopefully.
Mucho excelente.
And again, check out Pastors of Pain, Father Kerry, Father Brian O'Brien. They had 2 shows about that. And shout out to them for having the courage to do it, because both of those are controversial. Like, people are going to get mad regardless of what they said, regardless of what they did. There are going to be people who are kind of moaned about it, right? Just because there's going to be something that's upsetting.
You know what I want to see out of priests? I'm going to say what I like to see out of priests. I don't honestly think this is lacking in priests, not around here. But when a priest, especially a pastor, specifically a pastor, exercises and stands firm in his authority as pastor, I don't like it when parishes say, what are we going to name? What saint are we going to name the new building after? Let's take a vote. Because it's like, well, you know what? It's not your building. It's actually the priest's building. It's he's the pastor here. He's actually the one who, it's like, if this is maybe an unfair analogy, but my wife and I are having we're not having a baby.
Whoa, I was like, wait a minute, time out.
I'm just saying hypothetically. And it's like, let's let the kids vote on what the new baby is. Like, yeah, they can do that, but at the end of the day, I'm the one naming
We're not naming it Rainbow Star.
Right, exactly.
Or Pia Hussard.
Yeah.
Or Peekaboo Street,
Yeah.
So, like, when priests, like, stand up and say, no, this is the way it's going to be.
Respect it.
Like, even if it's like they know this is not the popular choice. But let me just tell you, this is how it's going to be. I'm always like, yeah, get this democracy out of my religion. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's the same way with fathers.
Totally.
When they're disciplining their kids or whatever, and it's like, nope, this is how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. Regardless if I agree.
If all the kids say, when we say like, hey, I'm sorry, we're not doing dessert tonight.
Yeah.
And all the kids start like, oh, Dad, come on. What? It's like, yeah, I already decided.
And that response actually warrants no dessert tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. In fact, tomorrow, I'm eating your dessert.
You all have to watch me eat it. And I'm gonna eat it slow.
And I wasn't gonna bake brownies, but now I am.
I'm gonna eat it slow.
Maybe with some ice cream.
So.